Hey everybody, this is Ken Meeks with the Ken Meeks Show. Today we have an awesome show. We have a special guest actor, producer, director. You probably also seen him in Family Business, Mr. Carl Gilliard. How you doing, brother?
Ken Meeks, my brother.
Ken Meeks.
You know, man, if I know you gonna wear a suit like that, looking all sharp, man, I would have wore a suit too.
Hey man, you gotta do your research,
Gotta do
man.
my research.
You gotta do your research.
And I did not, and now I pay the price for it. But I like the colors though, so we kind of offset.
But you know what though? I did my research. And every photo I see you in, you clean. I said I can't have Carl being better than me. So I had to dress up like this. But yeah, man, ever since I saw, I know you've been doing this for a while.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But ever since I saw the show Family Business, right, which is my sister's favorite show.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I told her I was going to interview you today. She was like, tell him, I really like his character. I said, I'll let him know.
Appreciate your sister.
But you presented yourself on camera the same way you present yourself in person. When I met you at the play, you was almost like the same guy on the show the way you were when I first met you.
Except I probably smile a lot more than
you smile a lot, but we gonna get into that. We gonna fast forward to that. But so you was born in Chicago, but you grew up in Detroit.
That's true.
Okay, so being in the acting business, what was the first show that you sat down and saw? It probably was on a box screen TV that you sat down and saw that you said, you know what, I want to do that.
Well, it probably started as a very young boy in Chicago.
Okay.
Where I did watch a lot of television, true. You know, I grew up, you know, on all the 60s television shows like the Beverly Hillbillies and Golden Pile and, you know, Mannix Mission Impossible and Julia,
the good shows.
Lucy. But I was a big movie guy.
Okay.
And when my parents split in, I was 64, 65, I was like 6, 7 years old.
So you grew up with your mom or your dad?
I grew up with my mom, but my dad. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But they split up when I was like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And so my mother would allow me to go to movies every weekend. And I started going with my cousin, who was a few years older than me first. But then later, I would go by myself. I might have been like 8 years old, and so I saw everything. So it was movies that really first permeated my spirit in terms of wanting, at least having a lot of interest in the industry. But then it wasn't until much later, I might have been like 15 or so, when I saw Cooley High.
Oh, that's
and
a good
that
one.
was what really, it clicked in when I saw Cooley High.
I can see that.
But I remember when I was a young kid, real quick story. So I was in 2nd grade, I'll never forget this, and I got into trouble. And I went to the office, the principal's office, and I'm trying to talk to her while she's trying to get my story, what happened. And she said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a comedian. I told her that. She says, you should be a lawyer. Because I was just talking.
Right.
But I think at that very early stage, I wanted to be a comedian because I would watch, you know, late night shows and watch like Joey Bishop and Richard Price to do stand up and the Red Skelton show, which was on CBS as a little boy. So I saw all these comedians and I thought maybe I want to do stand up, which I still to this day have not done. One day.
You got to do that.
When the place is empty. Nobody's in there. I get to go and do stand up and nobody's going to laugh because there won't be nobody in there. But seriously, that is one thing that I want to do one day. Point is, I told my principal that after getting in trouble, that was the beginning of it. And then when I saw Cooley High and I saw Glenn Turman, I said, Glenn Turman, look at him. But I'd already seen Sidney Poitier and others, Brock Peters and others before that. But when I saw Glenn, something clicked. And that's when I think the seed was planted that I wanted to be an actor one day.
So question, is your principal still alive today?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Her name was Mrs. Julstrom. Why do I remember that? We're talking 1965, and she looked like she was 60 then. So she's probably not alive.
So if you was in front of her right now, what would you say to her?
I was right.
Absolutely. So Detroit, man, growing up in Detroit.
High school mainly.
High school mainly, you know, back in the 70s, all the way up to the 80s. I know the BMF era. It's a lot of drugs, crack era, a lot of stuff going on in Detroit.
Actually came along a little later.
Okay.
I had a really good friend who got really sucked into the crack world, by the way. He's recovered now, but yeah, he lost a lot. And that's probably the 80s actually, with the crack stuff. But Detroit had a crime issue in the 70s.
Okay.
It used to be called the murder capital of the world. I did not really experience that firsthand.
Right.
It was a normal, childhood,
for you.
teenage years, middle school, high school, friends, neighborhood, played sports in the
Right.
streets,
Okay.
that kind of thing, My Detroit years, I loved my Detroit years
What about racism?
in Detroit.
Yeah, it was all over back then in the 60s, right? 70s. Grew up in the 70s.
I mean, okay. All right. So, not really.
I want the real story,
I'm
Carl.
telling you now. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a story of racism. Look, Detroit was a black city. It had Coleman Young was the mayor. You guys don't know who Coleman Young is, but Coleman Young was one of the first black American mayors, and he ran Detroit. Detroit was primarily a black city at that time in the 70s, and I lived in a white neighborhood on the east side. It was mostly Polish people in that neighborhood, and we used to ride our bikes, and we used to go up 7 Mile Road, right? Just riding our bikes, and it was like can I say titty bar?
Yeah, you can say that.
There was a titty bar on 7 Mile Road, and we used to drive our bikes, and we open the door and we go, "Hey, look at them titties!" and then white people were out, "Come you back, you niggers!" And they would chase us up the alley, and I mean, because they were hillbillies.
Right.
So, hillbilly there, hillbilly here. I mean, they were hillbillies and they didn't like us poking our head into the little bar. And we would ride our bikes up the alley and the cars would chase us, "Come back here." That kind of thing. But I don't remember experiencing anything like what my father experienced in the South.
Right.
Growing up in the, 30s and 40s.
Yeah, it's bad.
Not Detroit. Chicago more so in the 60s, a little bit. Yeah, but Detroit, no, not really.
So how did the film industry change from then to now?
Then meaning in the 70s?
From
or the
what
60s?
you've seen growing up in the 70s.
Oh my God, it's much different now. I mean, everything from the way...
More black women,
Oh, from that perspective.
more women in general.
Well, the whole distribution and production apparatus is totally different now, because back then you had only the major studios, you had 3 networks, and that was it. Well, now look at what we got.
Yeah.
We got, I can't even go name them all.
A lot of them, yeah.
It's just a lot of channels, and back then, even in the 70s, when I used to go to the movies all the time in the 60s, there were very few black actors. There were no black directors, not even Sidney Poitier. He didn't really start directing movies until like 1970 or 71.
Right.
You had Sidney Poitier, you had a few black actors. Mainly Sidney was the main one.
Right.
So my biggest heroes in the acting business were people like Jack Lemmon and Sean Connery and Walter Matthau, David Niven. Those are the people who I looked, Peter Sellers. Those are the people who really I looked at, but I loved Sidney Poitier too. So the business has totally changed. From a racial perspective, there hasn't been a time when we've had more access to me. You don't even need the majors anymore to create your own. I look with YouTube and TikTok and Instagram.
Absolutely.
I don't even, obviously, we have a ways to go. But when I turn on my TV, I see plenty of black people. Oh, yeah. I'm just wondering why they ain't picking me more often. It's part of the business.
Right. At what age do you feel that you got your big break? That you sat back
I haven't
and said,
had my big break yet.
You don't think so?
No.
I'm saying to you, not in the world's eye.
And to me, I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm
to
saying
you,
it to
you
me.
haven't got your big break.
I think that there are people outside of me who would be kinder and say, well, you have had your big break. I've had roles that I'm more recognized for, like family business.
Yeah, right.
But that to me, though a great opportunity, one that I enjoyed being a part of for sure, for a lot of reasons, I still have not had my big break yet. And I'm gonna have one. I'll get one, but I haven't had it yet.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
I haven't had it yet.
It's coming right after this show.
I haven't had it yet.
We'll speak it in existence.
That's right.
Speaking of family business,
That was a great opportunity. I mean, that show was a lot of fun to work on.
So are you Muslim?
No.
So you're not. You play.
Not
Listen,
only am I not a Muslim, I am a devout Christian.
listen. You played that role so good
Thank you.
that I thought you was Muslim for real.
No.
You're not. Okay. Well, that says a lot about your acting skills.
Thank you.
That you made it very believable.
Yeah. I had fun doing it.
Good. So
And it's funny because a lot of people do think that I'm Muslim. When I see them, they are surprised when they find out that I'm not. Which is cool. That's,
That's
but
'cause
there's
your
certain
acting
things behaviorally that I picked up on that I try to bring across at work, I guess.
So I always ask seasoned legends. I say legends because you have done a lot, right? I always ask people the same thing. I know you're married now, so don't take this offense to this. Let your wife know. Don't take this offense to this. So, how did you juggle being an actor, being in these shows that are recognizable, with your outside world? You had the women coming in the bars and the club.
Women with me?
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying it's not true.
they like successful men.
Question.
Women like successful men.
Right.
Or a man that's taking initiative and they can see, because they think, they see the big picture. They can see where you at right now, and you might think I ain't made it yet. But they're thinking, one more show? Oh, he's there. So that's why people get with these young, football players in college before they make it to the NFL.
Right.
So with that being said, how did you juggle your personal and your professional?
I'm better at it now than I was 20 years ago.
Okay.
I'm in my 60s now. So if I haven't learned something from the missteps of the past, then what am I doing, right? So I don't really have the issue anymore. I'm not trying to put myself down. I guess I'm a decent looking brother. But I am a little older, so like if I was if I was like Gilliard Meeks,
because I never put myself
nice
down.
Suit on,
I
walking
realized,
in the bar, you know what I'm saying?
I realized
might be something going on. I might have some problem. I might need somebody to protect my body.
It's somebody for everybody,
right?
But no, that's good to know. But the reason why I always ask that question, because I know even me, sometimes I look back and say, what would I have told my younger self?
Yeah, I see, got it.
Right? What would I have told my younger self? Things of that nature. And that's why some of the things that you can possibly say, because you are blessed to be at the age of in your 60s, where you can shed that wisdom down on somebody else that's trying to get to where you are, which is married. I'm not married. I want to be there. So that's why I wanted to know, how did you juggle, and what would you do different?
Oh my God. Oh, there's so many things I would do different. But I teach actors. I have an acting class. So one of the things that, to the point of your question, and kind of a roundabout, short, long cut, is that all of these experiences we had that we would, esteem as failures or mistakes are actually ammunition for the craft and for the art. So if I had not gone through these things, I would not have anything to offer the characters I play, right? So yeah, there are things I have a lot of things. Like, for example, I'm on my third marriage.
Okay.
Now all of them, have you ever been married?
No,
never
been married.
See, you looking at me cross-eyed. Don't be judging me, okay? So I'm on my third marriage, okay?
Right.
First marriage was 14 years.
That's good.
Yeah. Second marriage was 11 years.
That's good.
It was terrible. Third marriage is almost 11 years. So you kind of wish you would have just gotten it done once the right way the first time.
So what's the right way?
But the right way has to do with you. Because marriage and relationships of any kind, but especially marriage, they're a mirror.
Right.
So whatever's wrong, for the lack of a better term, or going on with you that you're not aware of, you will find out what it is.
The trauma will come out.
The trauma, the residual effect of what trauma you have, the dysfunction, the things that you haven't quite worked out, will come out in a marriage. This is true for everybody who's married. And if you don't know that, you just sleepwalking. That's really what it is. So you asked me what would I do differently?
Right.
In terms of the marriage part, right?
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't wish 3 marriages on anybody, because anybody will tell you who's been divorced, the DIV in divorce represents divide, division. That means you losing something. That means you have a part of what you had at one time. So from a financial perspective, it's a disaster. And I think more so for men, but I'm, speaking for myself, I could be not totally wrong. But I think that, for this industry and in life in general, I think that for men, when you marry, you should be marrying someone who can help you build your kingdom.
So what
Help
about
me, right?
help me? So what about the guys in the traditional thought of, like we say, we should marry somebody to help us, right? But we're always pushing out that we have to provide, we have to pay all the bills, she probably can pay the utilities or something like that, right? But most men say, you know what, I got the bills, I got all this. That's what we look at as a great man, the man who's taking care of the woman, because the woman is going to take care of the kids and the house and the
Ideally.
Ideally, right? Well, if you're doing all that, she should. If she's not doing anything, then that's what that 5 years in that marriage, you looking at each other like, okay, something has
Well,
to
I think that it really is about the team thing, the teamwork, and everybody's different in terms of what the arrangement is as you were laying out who pays what and all that. I think that traditionally, men are looked at as all the things that you listed.
Right.
But, oftentimes these days, women are, they don't need you for none of that stuff.
They don't need you.
And what's interesting and kind of an anomaly to that is that, men thrive on being needed. So, if a woman don't need you, at least for me, but I was born when Eisenhower was president, so I may be different. But if you don't need me, then I don't need you. I mean, that's why I'm there. If you don't need me, I need to be by myself until I find somebody who needs me.
Carl, you know what?
And that's just me. Don't get mad at me. Don't write your congressman about what I just said.
Hey, they're going to be in the comments, Carl.
Okay, let them be in the comments. But ask somebody else. If you think I'm lying, ask somebody else. And by the way, if you run into a man who does not believe that, you don't want that dude. Even though you think you do, you don't. He's beta. Yeah, I said it.
So does religion matter?
In terms of matching?
No, as far as terms as matching. If you meet someone and they say, I don't believe in anything, I'm God.
That wouldn't be a good match for me.
Me either, but I'm
It does matter, yeah.
It matters.
Yeah, it matters. A lot of things matter. I think people find their way. Like, you should modestly agree or not heavily disagree. I think in terms of faith, you should be in lockstep. But you can be in lockstep with faith and still have hell on your life. You can be married to a Christian, you a Christian, you both love the Lord, and the person is nuts. You driving each other crazy. I've been there.
You said something then.
So I'm just saying that is a fundamental baseline, but there has to be things other than that
I'm
going on.
glad you said that, Carl. So what you think about the person or the people who pray in the morning, pray in the afternoon, pray at night, and they wake up
cussing you out.
Cursing you out.
That was my second wife.
Yeah.
Oh, don't judge me, because I was cussing too, but I was cussing back.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's those are some of the things.
But we're human though. Ken,
yeah.
This whole idea, to your point, and this is no jokes, all jokes aside.
Okay.
We're Christians, but we're human. This expectation that we're not going to ever do nothing wrong because we believe in Jesus is a lie. And also, not only is it a lie, but we drive ourselves crazy promoting that and expecting that from each other. And what's wild about it is, as Christians, and I am one, and I know lots of other ones.
I'm one as well.
There you go. You know people who will judge you and put you down and talk about you for whatever you did wrong, and they turn around and go home and do something worse. I think that we need to be giving ourselves deference and grace like we expect God to give to us. I mean, it's all in the scriptures. And that's the point. So when it comes to marriage, I think that once you've been married for a while, all the stuff comes out, all the demons and all the things you don't want to see come out, and we are supposed to give each other grace. We're supposed to walk in the Word every single day to the best of our ability, and when we fail, we get up and do it again the next day.
So I got a question
You know
for
what I'm
you.
saying?
So your first marriage, 13 years.
13,
Who-
14, 13, 14, something.
Who decided to get that divorce?
It was me.
Second marriage.
It was her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we ain't doing no more divorces.
It was me. And for that first marriage and me getting a divorce, I was dumb. I was stupid. I was stupid. You know, I look back on that and, you know, I have 2 children with her. They're adults now.
Right.
And I've said to her many times, we actually said it to each other,
Right.
that the divorce was a mistake. I tried to get it back and she wouldn't do it. It was just...
Right. But you're in the right spot now because
Oh,
you're married.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, again, going back to the whole point
Right,
that I was
right.
making earlier,
Right.
is like, you know, what I do differently,
Yeah.
you know, somehow, you know, Romans 8:28, you know, God works all things together, right? It just always comes together. God in his omniscience, you know, he knows before we know what we need and how it's going to end up. His plan is masterful. So I ain't second guessing nothing. I ain't trying to say, oh, I shouldn't have done this, should have done that. I can feel that and everything, and often do criticize myself. But at the end of the day, those are the same experiences that make me who I am now, not just as a man, but also creatively. When I get on a set, I have all these different things to call on to create characters from, and that's fun. And it's also therapeutic, because most people who are not actors don't have that. I get to go on set and live out all this stuff that I've done all this crap that I've experienced, and it's therapeutic, you know?
Yeah.
I did a whole show. My series I did a show was called Black Famous, right? It's really a comedy about my crap. All my neuroses and stuff that I've gone through, my shortcomings, my insecurities, I put it right there in the script, and I play it out. And it's hilarious, you know?
Wow.
That's what's great about being an actor. That's why I tell my people in the class all the time, yeah, you did that, you were going through this, but put it in the work.
Put it in the work.
there. And then get some therapy if you need to, but once you get the therapy and you know what it is, put all that in there, you know?
What's the main thing that you see as an acting coach that is holding most of these actresses and actors back? That one thing that they keep missing that's keeping them on that same level, and this is the reason why they haven't broke out yet?
That's a multi-pronged question.
Or is it luck?
Well, I wouldn't say it's totally luck, but in the spirit of what you asked me, I would say holding actors back is really fear. Fear of exploration of your own personal humanity, your own demons. And that is where the secret sauce is, because what you've experienced and what you've gone through, no one else has. So that's your unique footprint, fingerprint onto the work you do. So you give me a script, you give Denzel Washington a script, obviously Denzel's great, but he's not gonna do what I'm gonna do. This is not possible that he can do what I'm going to do.
Right.
I can't do what he's going to do. He's great, but taking the greatness aside, which is hard to do, what he does is based upon his life experience, his emotional makeup, his DNA. I have my own DNA, my own fingerprint. So getting back to your question, fear. I mean, creeping into and touching and tapping into that isn't easy, and it's hard, and it takes courage and practice, right? In addition to the craft itself. So that's one part, but then you were talking about why they haven't made it. Now that may have nothing to do with their work. It could have everything to do with their timing, the projects that are coming down the line, they may not match up. That part, I guess, is kind of luck or timing, you know. But, you know, one thing in terms of them not making it has nothing to do with their preparation. There's a lot of people who are prepared and who are very good, but have not had their break yet. You see what I'm saying?
Is the saying, who you know works the same in film?
Absolutely. Who knows you is even more important.
Yeah, and who knows you?
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of actors that I think are amazing, but they'll go in auditions and they'll walk out and say, I didn't get the part. Then you see who got the part, and you thinking, you're way better than.
And then even that's subjective.
Right, because it's all about the fit that they want.
Yeah, I mean, the producer and the director
Right.
are the people who make the choice. And they make a choice based upon their own subjective analysis of fit for the role, and even their perception of who's good and who isn't as good. It's all subjective, and that's why, as an actor, and I've gotten better at this, I don't take anything personally. I don't, you don't want me on your set, then you're right. I just keep going, and in fact, veering a bit off of it, what I've done is I have diversified my arsenal and my toolbox. So I produce, I teach, I consult, I coach, I direct, and now I write. And those things help me become more valuable to the marketplace. And it is a business. It's not just about, how good I am and why I should or shouldn't get this. It's more about what are you doing to make yourself more marketable, to create your own opportunities, you see. And that is what makes the world go round. Now, obviously, there's still people who, have great skill and, get these opportunities, but a lot of times it's kind of luck and timing for the most part, because there's a lot of great actors out there who aren't getting those opportunities.
Right. So what actor would you like to work with next?
Oh my God, there's so many. Oh my God, there's so many. I've worked with Sam Jackson.
Oh, okay.
But I'd love to work with Sam Jackson again.
I can see that.
I would love to work with Sam. I'd love to work with Denzel. I'd love to work with Al Pacino. I would love to work with Matthew McConaughey. Oh, so many people. There's so, I mean, it's so many people.
So what role would you want to play?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I guess I would like to play a really bad guy that isn't really bad on the surface.
Right.
He's like a white collar bad guy. He's a powerful person who you think is really upstanding and he's not. I think that's kind of the roles that appeal to me, but I love comedy as well. I mean, my series is a comedy, so I produced my show because I wanted to do comedy. It wasn't really being seen for comedy, so I created my own comedy. So anything comedic and cleverly written in comedy is something that also appeals to me.
Like a black man that had a white son.
That was Black Man Had a White Son. I think I've seen that before. Black Man Had a White Son.
Don't steal it, Carl.
No,
Don't steal it.
I've seen that before.
But I can see that. I can see that.
Maybe I haven't seen that. I'm thinking of Carbon
No, you
Copy.
haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that. Yeah.
That'll be crazy. That'll shake it up. I can see you saying,
Hey, where you been? It wasn't mine.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So what are you working on that's coming out next? What you got?
What am I working on? Well, I'm just directed a play that is gonna probably tour. It's called The Lost Son.
Okay.
Great cast. We had Ernest Pugh, stellar award-winning gospel artist. We had Paris Bennett, American Idol finalist, Chris Blue, who won The Voice, and my brother Tony Grant, who's the lead singer for the Temptations. Those were my lead actors, but then we had other great cast who supported them. So that's going forward, we think. And then I'm in this new Naked Gun remake with Liam Neeson.
I know that's gonna be funny.
It's crazy. The trailers are just absolutely batty. A couple of scenes, I don't know where I'll end up. Hopefully I'll make the cut. I think I will.
So is the original Naked Gun guy still alive?
Oh no, Leslie Nielsen?
He's gone,
No,
right?
he's gone. So
who's playing this?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but Liam Neeson plays his son. He's Frank Drebin Jr.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's what they're doing. So, yeah, that was fun. And I'm a big Liam. Talk about somebody I want to work with. Liam Neeson is in like Naked Gun, but I had no scenes with Liam Neeson. I would love to work with Liam Neeson as well. Yeah,
Got it.
He's one of my favorites.
Got it. So when you decide to,
Glenn Turman too. I should say him, but I worked with him before. But I'd love to work with him in a film. I did a play with him in L.A. Yeah.
good person.
Yeah.
So when you decide to hang it up and relax,
I'm never gonna hang it up.
You never gonna hang
Nope.
it up?
I'll be on the set and I'll be dead the next day.
Wow, that's passion.
Yeah.
I heard, I was speaking to Susan, we talked about it, and she was like, the way she find actors and, to come along to be a part of her agency is that she knows as soon as she sees you within the first 3 minutes, if you have that drive, depending on what you say out of your mouth. So the fact that you just said that you'll probably be on set and then you're a turnover. Is wow, it's crazy that you can come in this world and a lot of people don't even know their purpose. And I guess you found
That's
yours.
a real blessing to know what
To
you
know your
yeah,
purpose.
Yeah.
And I guess you found your purpose.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So with that being said, if you can say one thing that you want people to remember you by, what would that be?
Oh, committed, a servant, crazy, a child of God, which is a whole nother
Better
thing.
say it.
I still have friends who call me that because back in the old days you had phone messaging and stuff. You have like if you call somebody through the system and it has, you have to give yourself a name. Like in your cell phone, you give yourself a name,
Right.
You take your message, right? So my name has always been for the last 30 years, child of God.
Child of God.
So I have friends to this day who that's what they call me. Funny story, Anthony Anderson, who I worked with in an acting class back in 1998, I was kind of running the class, and so if it sent stuff out through voicemail, you'd say child of God. To this very day, when I see Anthony, he says, "What's up, child of God?" I have friends in LA who call me child of God, but that's because of that. And so I'll take that because that's true.
Well, child of God, this has been an amazing interview, man. And I'm not just saying that. I learned a lot about
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
You're a legend in this thing, whether you believe it or not. When I was looking up your IDMB, I'm like, wow, this guy's done a lot, right? Although people may know you from family business, but it's a lot more to you than just family business.
Yes.
And I want to give you your flowers now, man.
Appreciate
So I want to clap it up for you, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I'm
clap
clapping
it up
for you in that
yourself.
suit. I'm gonna go out.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I told you. I only wore this suit because I thought you was gonna come like how you
I like
always.
that suit, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I do.
Man,
I'm saying, what would I do if I had that suit? What would I do?
You probably have the lapel pin and the handkerchief and necktie and all that. But anyway, thank you, brother.
my pleasure.
It's been good.
Pleasure's mine, Ken.
All right.
Yeah.